Welcome to Hypnosis Health Info. I'm Roger Moore. This past weekend I had the opportunity of going on a long bike ride. It was a century bike ride, a 100-mile bike ride that started in Gig Harbor, Washington and headed north up along the water through Manchester and up to Port Orchard, and then we headed west and on the other side of the highway there up in Kitsap Peninsula and did a big, Kitsap County did a big loop and back around and then back south down to Gig Harbor and having, a little over 6 hours of riding my bike, there's lots of time to think, and that can sometimes be dangerous, having all that time to think. But one of the things that I became very aware of is that when I was riding along the water and the wind was in my face and the chip seal road was rough and it was cold, it was in the 50s, and I had bare legs. I should have had my at least knee warmers on, if not tights. And as I was riding along and I was thinking about the cold, I became aware of the suffering that I was experiencing. And that was just something that I would sit and, as I rode along, pedal along, that I would think about, and just, okay, I'm cold, I'm thinking about cold, I'm thinking about suffering, this is a struggle. And when I got awestruck by the views, looking out over across the water, seeing Bainbridge Island, seeing Bremerton, seeing downtown Seattle, seeing the ferries and the big boats out there and the small pleasure craft, and seeing eagles and looking at all the rhodies that were in bloom along the road and some of the azaleas that are left and the poppies that were in bloom. And when I was focused on those things, it was like the cold left my mind, the rough road left my mind, the suffering was gone. And I became very aware of that, oh, isn't that interesting? When I'm enjoying the ride, when I'm enjoying the view, when I'm focused on the positive things, the ride is easier. When I'm focused on the suffering, the ride's harder. And I just observed that throughout the day as I'd struggle along, going up. There was multiple big, long, huge hills, and again the rough chip seal road, and there were times where I'd go, oh, this is hard. And self-doubts would start to fill in, and it was, can I do this? And then I would start giving myself suggestions about having strength and having power, and that I got this, and visualize my legs being strong and my body being strong and pumping away, and again get absorbed in the beauty that was around me, the horses that I was observing out there in the pastures, or all the trees that I was seeing, and the big tall trees in the forests, and I'd get wrapped up in that. No matter how long the hill or how steep it was pretty easy. And Milton said that the mind is its own place, and in itself can make heaven of hell and hell of heaven. And that pretty much sums up what I was doing on this ride on Sunday, and became very aware of that suffering truly is optional. It's a choice that we make. We can be wrapped up in the suffering of something and make things hell, or we can get absorbed in the beauty and make it heaven. And of course, negative thoughts bring about negative results. And as humans, we've become addicted to negative thinking. I see this all the time here in my Seattle hypnosis office, my Bainbridge Island hypnosis office, of people come in and they're so focused on the woe is me and ain't it awful, and the troubles and the trials and the tribulations of life, the fears, the angers, and they're, the adrenaline is pumping from the fear, and they know they're alive, and it becomes very addictive. And part of that is becoming addicted to the suffering, and we become attached to our pain, to the self-doubts and our limiting beliefs of not being good enough. But we can change all that and create a commitment to life with patience, with discipline, a will to get better. We can treat ourselves with grace, with compassion, with self-love, and the knowledge that recovery is not just possible, but inevitable, because our thoughts do create our reality. And on this ride on Sunday, I recalled an article. I had to do some searching to find it, and it was actually clear back to 6 months ago, to January 1st of 2012. It was in the Seattle Times, and it reads, "Have you ever stopped to reflect on your moods? It's a fact that each of us feels emotional highs and lows based largely on what we're thinking. Thoughts create a certain chemistry in the brain and in our bodies. Stressful thoughts can literally make us sick, while happy thoughts can put us in a party mood. We all contribute to our internal weather. It pays off to keep your thinking upbeat and joyful, especially when the world looks bleak and miserable. Thinking well gives us an internal confidence. Thinking better gives you confidence that no one can take away. Focus on what you do well. Focus on using your talents and skills. Even when you're down emotionally, refuse to let anyone judge you. Be proud of how tough you are." And moving into this kind of self-confidence requires that you trust yourself. You think about your life in ways that work for you. "I was judging myself because my cousin is rich and I'm not happy," says a man we'll call Gary. "My cousin told me in an email recently that he's envious of my lifestyle. I live near the mountains and streams, so I do a lot of hunting and fishing. Gary's cousin wants to build a retirement cabin near Gary. I began to realize that I'm rich in my own way," says Gary. To stop doubting yourself, give yourself credit. Reflect upon the challenging roads you've come down in life. Pat yourself on the back for not quitting. Healthy thoughts give us a platform to stand on. When you build this kind of internal dialogue, your confidence will rise to help you reach your goals. "One of my new goals," says Gary, "is to enjoy my life right where I am. My cousin wanting to move here to retire has opened up a new perspective for me." And I'll include in my blog post a link to this article in the Seattle Times. But one of the things that you can do to put things back into perspective for you is to make yourself happy in ways that doesn't hurt yourself or hurt someone else. And make a list of things that do make you happy, things that you find joy in, and make a commitment to yourself that you're going to do these things frequently, often, perhaps every day. And actively pursuing your happiness is actively pursuing your health. Things that make me happy are being with my wife and with my kids and my grandkids, working out in the yard, and certainly riding a bike makes me happy. Even in those moments of suffering and struggling, when I put it all together, I'm still laughing and giggling much of the time, or if not most of the time. And of course, another powerful way to change your thoughts, to improve your thoughts, to improve your mood, to build self-confidence is self-hypnosis. And hypnosis allows you to let go of that attachment to the pain, to the suffering, to the negative thinking. And you can choose to stay in that negative thought trance state, or you can choose to end the suffering and to enjoy life right where you are. And I teach all my clients the light switch 1-minute self-hypnosis technique. If you watched any of my videos, you've heard me talk about it before. And I encourage people to use this tool at least 5 times a day, every day. And what you're really doing by using self-hypnosis is creating a negative-free zone where your thoughts are totally confident, they're totally positive, and you're focused on being happy and knowing that you're okay, and you put yourself in a place of creating the life that you want. And you can learn hypnosis and learn to enjoy life right where you are. And folks, if you look up in the orange menu bar at Hypnosis Health Info, you'll see the word self-hypnosis up there in the top line of the orange menu bar. And the first drop-down tab is the light switch self-hypnosis techniques, and it teaches you the mechanics of actually how to do the technique. It's very simple, very easy. Little kids can learn to do this very quickly. They're naturals at it. And then the next drop-down tab is written suggestions. And it tells you how to give yourself suggestions that you incorporate into your 1-minute light switch technique. The next drop-down tab is Power Minutes. Power Minutes are 1 to 4 minute MP3 downloads that you can use in place of or instead of written suggestions. And the last one is Hypnotic Suggestions. There's roughly 1,400 or so suggestions from over the years that you're welcome to use word for word, but they're really there to give you an idea on how to word your own suggestions. But suffering is optional. Being in that negative trance state, that negative thought place, is optional. You really truly can choose to step out of that. No matter what's going on in your life, to recognize that right now in this moment, aware of your feet on the floor, if you're seated, your butt in the chair, aware of breath, aware of your body, that right now in this moment, you're okay. And there's all these things, stressors and fears and things going on in life, but right now you're okay. And that you do have the power of choice of how you're going to respond to all these things. And that's the power of self-hypnosis, allowing you to create the life that you want, ending the negative thinking, creating a positive, happy, healthy life. I'm Roger Moore, and this is Hypnosis Health Info.